Hello enthusiasts and welcome to this new video from the blog www.moonwatch.fr. Today I offer you the review of a diving watch from a little known brand, namely the Linde of One, with this Biformeter Art Black 2, the automatic watch Linde Werdelin Biformeter Art Black 2 is a professional watch designed and developed for and by adventurers seeking achievements and thrills. So let's go back a little bit to the Linde Werdelin brand, because I think very few people know this brand. I myself discovered it not very long ago, just a few months ago. So Linde Werdelin is a young manufacturer launched in the early 2000s by two Danes, Morten Linde and John Werdelin. This watchmaking story was born from a skiing accident in 1996 when John Werdelin, passionate about mountaineering and off-piste skiing, got lost, fell off a cliff and broke his back. In 2002 he partnered with Morten Linde to create a luxury professional and sports watch, which can be paired with a digital instrument used in diving or skiing. Precisely, it's this principle, this concept that is just brilliant. 5 years of research and development were necessary to design the first watch marketed in 2006 under the name Linde. At the time, the manufacturer would be the only one to produce digital instruments complementary to these watches. To do this, Linde works with the best mountaineers and divers. And their watches and instruments were even used during the very first confirmed free ascent of the summit of Mount Everest in 2007. The very concept demonstrates the quite crazy Linde value, since all their watches can be paired with digital instruments. There are two, the Riff and the Rock. The Riff is intended for diving, the Rock is intended for skiing. These are true external complications of the watch, as they are actually small cases that can be plugged into the watch case. The watches are entirely made of Swift in Switzerland, while the digital instruments are assembled in Denmark. Many details, in addition to a very specific aesthetic to the brand. The shape of the case is truly very specific to the island of Werdelin. There are many elements that deserve attention on this watch and this brand. And it's not for nothing that John Werdelin considers these creations as extreme watches, stemming from artisanal craftsmanship that merges luxury and sport. The technical specifications of this Linde Werdelin Biformeter HB2. So you should know that this is a watch limited to 88 pieces, like almost the majority of the Moss watches at Linde Werdelin. These are very small series that are generally produced in less than 100 pieces. So we're talking about watches that are not unique, but really are very limited. This is a watch that was designed in 2012, a watch more for men since we're dealing with dimensions of 44 mm in diameter and 12 mm in thickness. The case is made of steel covered with DLC with a matte micro-blasted finish that is truly sublime. The movement is an ETA 28922, a reliable and robust movement providing a 42-hour power reserve. This watch is water resistant up to 300 meters. It has a screw-down signed crown and a 120-click unidirectional bezel. The glass is a 2.35 mm thick sapphire crystal with a double anti-reflective coating. That does the job very well. Regarding the strap, one might think it's nylon, but not at all. It's a leather strap. Textured, so calf leather, textured. The lug width is a special one, so it will be quite difficult to change the strap by yourself. Only one complication, the date, and this watch bears the reference HB 2.2.6. 2.46. Let's now look at the case. First of all, the case of the Linde Werdelin Biformeter HB2 measures 44 mm in diameter and is barely 12 mm thick. Completely covered in DLC, the finish is matte with a micro bead appearance that is very pleasant to the touch. You see, even on camera you can see the very specific look of the model. The shape of the case is also very specific to the Linde Werdelin brand, as it features a notch system on the right and left sides of the watch, which allow you to plug in the instrument's Riff and Rock modules. I must admit that it is this originality in shape and design that won me over. I don't own both instruments, and anyway, I don't ski or dive enough to find them useful. But this case design, I find it very, very beautiful. We'll see later how it looks when worn. It's incredible. Moreover, the two notches that allow you to attach the instrument give the watch a sporty touch, which I really like. It has a resemblance to a porthole, but I find it much better finished than on a porthole, for example. Honestly, the notch system for someone like me is completely useless, since I'm not an adventurer at all, and yet I find it completely indispensable on this watch. Next we find a bezel, a unidirectional 120-click bezel that asserts the diving watch identity of this Werdelin. So the bezel is quite noisy. You can hear it well. I regret that it is so easy to use. Personally, I would have appreciated it being a little more resistant when turning it. Well, I think that's a matter of personal taste and preference. Just like the case, this bezel is entirely black, with engravings to mark the minutes. We obviously find a luminous yellow-green triangle that serves as a visual marker, which is essential for anyone diving in this world. We continue with a screwed down and signed crown by the Linde logo, which allows you to set the time and date. There is no play when using the crown. You can feel that it exudes quality and solidity. Next, we find a steel case back screwed down with the logo on it, Linde, the special edition number, and some information like Swiss-made HB Tube 6, among others. It should be noted that there are 5 holes on this case back that simply allow for strong screwing. Case back ensure water resistance 300 meters. 300 meters of water resistance for a watch is barely 12 mm thick is satisfying. Let's continue with the dial. Firstly, the beauty of the dial of this automatic Biformeter Linde de Linde watch lies in its simplicity. Here, there are no frills, no unnecessary things. We have a matte black dial with some engraved reliefs. So you can see them. So it's really very, very understated. It's very, very beautiful. I like it a lot. It goes very well with the rest of the watch and doesn't hinder reading the time. So no junk on this dial. Secondly, the indices are of a suitable size and clearly visible. They are all covered with ultra-powerful yellow superluminova. The shape of the triangular hands also benefits from this luminescent coating, which ensures time reading in the dark. It's really a watch that is ultra-readable whether it's day or night. Thirdly, we find the date window at 4 o'clock, and I think it is perfectly and discreetly integrated into the dial. It is adjacent to the index. It is really very discreet. I like it a lot. In the more recent models, they have released what they call the big dates with a much larger date window, which I like much less. I find it less aesthetic, less harmonious. For a professional watch, having the date is important. It's not necessary for the date to take up half of the dial. It's not something you look at every 10 minutes either, so there you go. I find it really very, very, very discreet. Then we find this date window with a font written in white on a black background, simple and effective. We find the Linde Werdelin logo at 12 o'clock, so this logo is also in white, and the mentioned automatic millifit 300 meters at 6 o'clock. To finish, we have a sapphire crystal 2.35 mm thick that protects the dial. It's a flat glass that benefits from a double anti-reflective coating, giving it excellent readability regardless of light exposure. For anti-reflective treatments, it's Breitling, best. The Werdelin line is on the same level as Breitling. The quality of the treatment is exceptional. Finally, we find a small rehaut with white numbers. Well, discreet, simple, it gets the job done. This Linde Werdelin dive watch houses an ETA 28922 caliber internally adjusted for optimal precision. So we are dealing with a high-grade ETA 2892 caliber, a very precise, very robust movement. I invite you to watch my video on in-house movement versus standard movement. You'll see here we are typically dealing with a case where we don't have an in-house movement, but we have a watch of excellent quality with really very decent precision. Here, for example, on this model, the deviation is about 3 seconds per day, which is quite acceptable for this type of automatic movement. No specific decoration on the movement, but that's not very important, since, in any case, the case back is solid, so it doesn't reveal the movement. The TA2892 is a movement found in many manufacturers. It offers about 42 hours of power reserve, which is, let's say, within current standards, even if these standards are starting to increase. We find a date complication at 4 o'clock, the cherry, on top, as it is a movement proven in hundreds of watch references. Maintenance is infrequent, inexpensive, and can be performed by any good watchmaker. When you buy a watch with an atypical case shape, it's not obvious that the watch will be comfortable. It's hit or miss. Here, I must admit that Linde Werdelin offers an extremely comfortable and pleasant watch on the wrist. This is probably due to its lightness. We're not dealing with a titanium case, it's a steel case. But the watch is very light, which is quite impressive actually. The watch sits perfectly on the wrist, as you can see in the video, and you don't feel any discomfort. You see the specific notches for adding the additional module. Pose no problem. With only 12 mm thickness, the Linde Werdelin Octopus Moonlight is as discreet as it is comfortable. No bling bling, it's truly a professional watch made to go on the water, or rather in the water, even. The strap is a textured calf leather strap of very high quality. Neither too soft nor too stiff. The simple black pin buckle, signed with the Linde Werdelin logo, ensures a secure fit on the wrist. It's basic, but it works very well. And anyway, a diving watch is never on a deployant clasp. Let's be honest. It's not something practical. Obviously, you won't dive with a leather strap. You'll opt for the brand's rubber strap. The look of this Linde Werdelin watch evokes an emotion I haven't found elsewhere. In other brands of the same segment like Hublot, IWC, and many others. Honestly, there's something about this watch, something happens whether it's this watch or other watches from Linde Werdelin for that matter. The combination of materials, the very specific design, and the proprietary lug will make this watch almost unique. A little thing to tell you about this watch and the strap. Originally, the watch was delivered on this strap set. It's the same one. And in fact, it tore just a few days after buying the watch. So I'm showing you the torn strap. Probably a material defect, as can happen sometimes. When I received the watch, honestly, you couldn't see anything. The strap was really perfect. I wore it for 2 days without any issue, and after 2 days, it tore. I don't even really know how to do it on my own. But the customer service was very responsive from Indowear. They can be reached by WhatsApp, and as a result, very good responsiveness. And I received one within a week. It's not negligible, because a strap from Indowear, you see, it's a specific notch system that somewhat resembles that of Richard Mille. Except that Richard Mille, I believe, uses a solid bar. We just have the 2 notches. So you can't buy a strap like that on eBay or Ali or on I don't know where. You really have to go through the brand to get it, and a strap like that costs at least 400 euros. There, Lindewear sent me another one within the week, and it's really very nice of them, especially since they also provided me with the tool, which was extremely helpful to remove the specific small nuts. So, Linde Werdelin is a rather exclusive brand that produces in very limited quantities. The majority of official distributors are located in Asia and England. As a result, it's quite complicated to get one in France unless you opt for an online purchase. Which is what I did, by the way. Unlike other brands like Panerai, Linde Werdelin offers true limited editions. Here, it's a model, 88 pieces. With Panerai already, all their models are limited editions. And each limited edition includes 5,000 watches. So you have to understand, it just makes me laugh. Here we are really dealing with something quite exclusive nonetheless. And that's a plus. I really like it, knowing that I won't have the same watch as everyone else. We're not talking about a sub that's sold in hundreds of thousands. Obviously, Lindewear's watches are categorized as luxury watches. It is possible to acquire a timepiece, rare and almost unique, at a price that will range between 6,000 euros and 10,000 euros, depending on the references, editions, and colors. So it's much more original than wearing a Rolex Submariner that everyone has. In any case, that's how I feel about it. It is also possible to find certain models on the grey market and even directly on the Linde Werdelin website, as they offer a sales section of pre-owned models. So that can also be interesting to take advantage of favorable prices that are around 4,500 euros. The Biformeter Black 2, which I am presenting to you today, is one of the most difficult models to source because it is one of the first models that made the brand known, limited to only 88 pieces, and moreover, in this black version, which, in my opinion, is the most beautiful. As a result, it makes it not so easy to find. On the grey market, you should expect to pay at least 4,500 euros for a version with box and papers. A small note, if you buy from abroad, keep in mind that you will have customs fees that will increase the total cost. I didn't think about that. It's a watch that I had brought over from England, as I bought it directly from Linde Werdelin, which is based in England. And as a result, I had to deal with customs. So it stings a little. So keep that in mind if you buy a watch from Linde, because with watches at this price, it adds up quickly to 1,000 to 1,500 euros in customs fees, depending on the packaging. Now, Linde makes simple things, but very, very neat. We already have a small pouch that is flocked, so a fairly traditional suede pouch in which we find a beautiful box. Linde or leather box, very simple, small format. I had shown you the Zenith DeFi, where the Zenith box is clearly a suitcase. It feels like you're carrying around a suitcase, the box is so big. Here it's the complete opposite. A very minimalist box, a small square in which we find a presentation cushion. It's a very, very high quality. Honestly, the leather, the stitching to the touch, you can tell it's really fine craftsmanship. So, very nice. I really like the Linde Werdelin box. We find also a small booklet in which there is a presentation of their different models and the products. So that's also quite nice. And we find a warranty card. Well, I think you've understood. I am completely won over by this diving watch. Linde Werdelin, it is rare, fine, elegant, with an original shape. This timepiece is a true professional watch that is not just for show. Clearly, it's a watch made to go into the depths, and you can feel it by touch and wear. It is really very beautiful. You can tell it's professional, but it still retains a somewhat chic aspect for wearing. For example, for going to work, it can also work, and that's a little bonus. The Biform watch is incredible. On the wrist and mounted on a rubber strap, you even forget it's there. A rubber strap, still quite expensive. It's 450 euros for a piece of rubber. It's a bit pricey. However, it is very comfortable. There's nothing to complain about there. Similarly, the textured leather is truly incredible on the wrist. It's great. If, like me, you are tired of sub-like watches, Nim, Rolex, Revivian, Submariner, and you are looking for an atypical and professional model, the brand Lindewear offers excellent alternatives to the classic references that everyone owns. With a bit of luck, it is even possible to find the first models at affordable prices. The black edition is probably the most expensive. There are other colors like Bordeaux, etc., which are cheaper and easier to find. And frankly, it's quite interesting in terms of value for money. The new models are positioned at prices on par with the market leaders' prices. It's not more expensive than an Omega Seamaster. It's not more expensive than a luxury Rolex sub-watch. And here the advantage is that you can find it, since Linde Werdelin distributes its watches quite easily and conveniently. By that I mean there is no waiting list. Don't expect to find a distributor for Linde Werdelin in France. It's going to be quite complicated, I think. I find the shape of the case to be amazing. On the wrist, the comfort is perfect and the readability is excellent both day and night. Well, I'm not going to lie to you, I discovered this brand and I'm even wondering if it's not my favorite watch brand. Now, by the way, I also own another model with the Speedolite from Linde Werdelin. So here I have it mounted on a small green Velcro. The case is made of carbon, the watch is incredible. And by the way, you can see the case shapes are really typical of Linde Werdelin. I will present it in a review in an upcoming video. In any case, what is certain is that it's a watch I really like. What do you think about it? Feel free to leave me a little message in the comments to let me know if you knew the brand, if you own a model from this brand, if you love or not this particular shape, the very concept of plugging a professional instrument onto it. For you, is it a gadget? Is it useless? Or is it really something nice? I'm not talking about an Apple Watch here, which ultimately doesn't do much besides unnecessary things. Here, we're really dealing with metrology and professional measuring instruments. So there you have it. The review is coming to an end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps the channel to be better, referenced by YouTube. So, a little thumbs up, a comment, the bell, subscribe, send the link to your grandmother, your grandfather, your aunt, whoever you want, even your pony. There you go. We need to boost the channel, inflate the channel, friends. With that, we are obviously always available on our site moonwatch.fr, where you will find all of our reviews and videos, and on social networks, Twitter, Instagram, Ask and Facebook. Moonwatch.fr. All together you will find us. Come on friends, see you soon for the next video. Bye.